Hello everybody and welcome to another video of Immortal Engines. Today I'm going to be making a video that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. Today we're going to install a Champion Generator inverter board into this Kipor generator. The reason why you would want to do that if you own one of these is that when the inverter boards go bad on these generators, they actually cost $500 on eBay, and the company that used to sell them, I think they're out of business. So it's not like you can pick up the phone, make a phone call, tell them what generator you have, and get a part in the mail, even if you want to pay for it. And $500 to me for this generator and its age is actually way too much. It's no longer worth it. However, 2 years ago, I actually did exactly what I'm going to show you today, and I was successful at it. However, I didn't want to record it and show you guys because I wasn't sure it was going to work long term. But guess what? That generator that I fixed, I gave to one of my sisters, and it's been running for about 1,000 hours without any problems, which is great. So now I feel confident to show you how we're going to install a Champion Generator inverter board into a Kipor generator. Now, it's very simple. I got this generator for $50 because I already knew that the inverter board is bad. These things that come with the generators, they go bad for no reason. They just work one day, you let them sit for a month or so. When you start it up, some kind of electronic died, and they just don't make power anymore, and it's very frustrating. These inverter boards are actually better made, they last longer, and hey, after you do the wiring that I'm going to show you, if they go bad, you just buy another one and it's plug and play from there, which is fantastic. The engines on these generators are actually very good, and they come with an electric start. So if you want to do this, first of all, you need your Kipor generator. Second, you need to call Champion, okay, and their number is right here. That is 562-236-9422, and you want to order CPE012207. That is a control unit, okay? Now you're gonna get exactly this in the mail. So let me identify some plugs for you. This is the plug that comes from the winding on the generator. This plug right here is the plug that goes to the throttle motor that controls your throttle speed. This one goes to this output indicator right here, and these two are the wires that go into your sockets after it's been converted in the board. All right, so let me show you something very interesting. See this plug? This is from the Kipor. Look at that. It plugs right in. And same goes for the throttle, same goes for the winding plug. The only one that we don't have are these two, but I will show you how to fix that as well. So before you get started, we will be playing with electricity. The generator will be off, but there could be some residual power in the windings, so be very careful when you decide to do this. I do not take any responsibility for what may happen to your generator or yourself, so proceed at your own risk. That being said, let's get started. Okay guys, so before we get started, I actually wanted to show you that the generator starts and runs, has an output light, but it does not make any power at the socket. So let me start it real quick and show you how that looks. So there we go, the generator is running, and we have our green output light. Now sometimes when the inverter board goes bad, you don't have an output light, and the generator revs all the way to red line, and it runs really rough. It's like because it's bouncing off the limiter. So if your generator is doing that, shut it off immediately before the engine blows up. It is not supposed to be revved that high. So if it revs really high, you have no output indicator, and of course you don't have any power out the outlet, that is a telltale sign that your inverter board has gone bad. So if you have that case, then you can continue with this video. Okay guys, so I have my GoPro situated right here so I can show you guys what we're going to do. And first things first, we're gonna unplug every single connector from this inverter board. I know I skipped the part where the inverter board is installed on the generator, but I figured that if you're looking this video up and you decided to click on mine, you might already be here, you know, you might have already pulled it off trying to figure out why it's not making power. And it can be very frustrating because sometimes your engine runs fantastic and you just don't have any power. First things first, I'm gonna do this plug first, okay? So before we start working on that plug, this is what it's gonna look like when you're done doing this job. We have the plug that we're gonna start with. We have the throttle plug, we have the output plug, and we have the plug that comes from the windings. So if you can see that, it seems like we don't have to do anything to this one. That's great. See that how it matches? So that's one less thing to do. So let's go ahead and work on these plugs so we can get this generator running. So let me tell you what these wires do first. So first of all, these two red wires go to the auto throttle button. So basically, if you had the generator running and you had the board plugged in and you bridge those two, your RPMs will go up. So those are very simple. They're just connected to a switch that puts them together. So those are very simple. Next, you have this white wire is the ground for the other three, okay? So white is ground. Then you have black. This black wire is what turns on that green output indicator light, okay? So next, you have brown, which is what turns on the overload light whenever you overload the generator. And last, the gray is the low oil light at the very bottom. So you have ground and then each wire for each one of those bulbs. The one that you always need is the black one because it shows the green, but the other two are very important because you do want to know when you have low oil or you have overloaded the generator. So that is the way this is wired to work on the Kipor generator. If you want and you want to reverse this, take a picture of this before you work on it. Again, use this as a reference. So for example, having this to the left, red on top, black, white, brown, gray. Okay, so as you can see here, I took this picture on the Kipor generator when the plug actually worked. So as you can see, the arrangement on the wires are very different. So we have white and black on the top, then you have red and brown, and then you have red and gray. Very different than what we have here. So basically, we have to make this plug look exactly like this one. Let me start by showing you how to remove the wires from the plug. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this needle thing here that you may have in your sewing kit at home, and if you can see here, you have the plug and you have this notch on the bottom. So you want to insert this in the notch and work on it a little bit like so, because you're trying to bend a pin that fastens that plug. Here, let me try another one. Sometimes it helps when you push this forwards a little bit. There you go. You push the wire up a little bit and then you insert this, and then you use your tiny screwdriver to help it come out. There you go. So we got our first one out, okay? And we're gonna do all of them. Okay, there we go guys. We have all of our wires out and we have our plug. So here's what you're gonna do next. You're gonna grab this thing again, and I don't know if you can see, but you're gonna bend these ears back out, okay? Because when they go back in, you want them to stay. All right, so that's fairly simple. Don't go crazy, but just make sure you bend them out a little bit, about that much, okay? So you're gonna bend every single one of them. All right. Last one. Good. So now they're ready to go back in their new position. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this cheater picture, and the position on the plug on this picture is like so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy that. So we're gonna start with white, and when you insert these, you're gonna be confused on which way it goes. So remember, the ear has to match the notch. So in this case, the ear points to the left. So white on on the bottom right corner. You can help it with your screwdriver and you're gonna hear it click. See, it's not coming out. So next color is gonna be black. So we're gonna insert the black color. There, it clicked. So next, I'm trying to help you guys see here. So next, I'm gonna do brown, okay, to the left of the black. Done. And then either one of these red, it does not matter, okay? So it doesn't matter which one of the red, because at the end of the day, all they do is this in the switch. So that's not a problem. We're gonna insert the red right there. Funny, they made them beefier. They don't do much. Done. Okay. Then we're gonna do the other red at the top left corner. I'm gonna insert it. Done. And last one is gonna be our gray wire. And just like that, you're done. But now with the whole generator, just this plug. We have one more to go. Okay, so this one's ready for the champion board. So up next is a very interesting part. On the champion generator, the little motor is on this side, and what they did, and I don't know why, but they're the only manufacturer I've seen this so far, is that the motor, to accelerate, it turns right instead of left. So what happens is, if you don't change the wiring on that motor, which is this one right here, this is the one with 4 really tiny wires. If you don't change the wiring on this, your board is gonna signal the motor to turn in the wrong direction, and it's gonna make your generator run really rough, if not run at all. So I'm gonna show you something. So I have this spare motor that I pulled from the exact type of generator with the exact swap of board. So take the top one as the stock configuration and take the bottom as my modified one. On the stock, you have yellow on the top left, orange on the bottom left. On this one, what I did is I put orange on the top, yellow on the bottom. On the stock one, you have pink on the top right, blue on the bottom right. What I did is put pink on the bottom right and blue on the top right. So basically what I did is I reversed the polarity on the stepping motor. That way the motor turns in the opposite direction. So I'm gonna show you how to remove these. It's pretty much the same thing as the other one, but I'll go ahead and show you that. Okay everyone, so we're gonna start turning this plug into the same one as this one. Like I said, the way this is wired, it's gonna spin in the wrong direction, so we want to reverse that. So again, we're gonna go in here on the little notch, okay, and then we're gonna use our screwdriver to push the wire out. And just like that, we got all of our plugs out. So I could install this one and just call it a day, but I really want to show you guys the way that you're gonna have to face it. So now that we have all of these guys out, we're gonna do exactly the same thing. We're gonna bend the pins back so that when we're ready to put them in their new location, they just stay there. Now these are very flimsy, so be careful. There we go. Just like that. Wiring doesn't have to be difficult if you have somebody explaining it to you. Trust me, this is not difficult at all, and is very rewarding because you're gonna end up with a fantastic generator for a quarter of the price. Unless you already own the generator, then it's even less. All right, so we're gonna put them here side by side, and this is how it's gonna go down. Blue on the top right, followed by orange on the top left. Okay, then we're going to do why they made him so short, and then we're gonna do pink on the bottom right, and yellow on the bottom left. Remember which way your little tabs that you bent back have to face. Gotta match the notch. So now that we got them all the same, okay, hope you can see that. I'm just gonna push them in until they click. Gonna start by this guy trying to come out on me. I'm gonna put them all in evenly as I can. And just like that, you have done your throttle and your output indicator plug. So we got one more to go and we're done. Now, before we go any further, I actually want to do a test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this guy right here. Okay, and then I want to plug this guy over here. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. And I'm going to plug this guy over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my voltmeter. I'm going to start the generator, and then I'm going to check for output right here. And as you can see, obviously because it's off, there's no output, but when I fire it up, it should give me power. So bear with me. I hope the camera doesn't vibrate too much, but I'm gonna go ahead and start it. That's a good sign. Let's test and see if we wired our throttle properly. Great, it works in both directions. All right, and now the important part, does it make power? There you go, 121 volts. And we have our output light. Okay guys, so as you can see, we already successfully wired everything from the champion board to the Kipor generator. So the last thing to do is we gotta route both of these connections right here to our outlets. Now let me show you how we're gonna do that. So I'm a very lucky guy and I always have a hoard of generator parts laying around. In this case, this is the wiring harness from the inverter board to the outlets of a Honda EU3000. It was all blown up and broken. It was missing everything, so I just took it as parts and I kept the wiring. So as you can see, this plug right here is not exactly the one that clips on here. I did find it online, but it was gonna take forever to get here from China, I believe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use these. They're gonna be fine. If anything, you just give them a little squeeze there and it will go in there very strong and it won't come out. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put one in there and the other one like so. Now you might be thinking, why is there two? Great question. If you can send an email to Champion and let me know what their answer is, that'd be great, because I have no idea why they would be doing this. What I do know is that it's actually not bad, because if you put all the load in one of those pins, yeah, it will not be able to hold it. So we're gonna insert all of them like this, okay? And here's how it works. Two of these are basically the same, and the other two are basically the same. So it doesn't matter if they touch each other or if they're connected together here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these plugs off and we're gonna join these wires to one of these. So for example, these two to these, and this black one to these two. And the polarity does not matter. I know on home wiring it does matter, but trust me, on generators it does not matter. So after you get this done, it doesn't matter which side is which, as long as both of these are connected to the one wire and vice versa. You can't mix them, so I recommend you taping together very close to the connector right there. So I'm gonna pull these off. Now if you don't have some of these, you can buy one of these kits on Amazon. I'm gonna leave a link in the description, and basically you can insert the wire and wire it yourself. So as you can see, this guy would go in there, and they come with a cover and everything. They're very nice, but since I have those already made, I might as well just use them for something. Okay guys, so I just removed the inverter board so there will be less background noise for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started on this, shall we? So first things first, we want to cut all of these of the same length if possible. So I'm going to grab both of these, okay, measure them up the same. That should be plenty, and I'm going to go ahead and make a cut right here. Nice. Now I'm going to grab these other two, and I'm also going to make a cut. All right. So now that we have our pigtails ready, I'm going to go ahead and cut into the wiring harness. This is the point of no return. So now that I cut all of the wires, I'm going to strip them, and when we're ready, I'm going to show you how I'm going to wire them. Let's go. Okay guys, so now that we have the insulation removed from all of the wires, we're going to start and splicing them together. Now this is probably not the correct way to do this, but I'm going to do the best I can. All we need is the cables to be connected together as firm as possible, and then just insulated with electrical tape. So as you can see, I spliced that one into two, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap my red wire to it and just spin it like so. There we go. I'm gonna point that up like that. Again, this is probably not the best way to do this, but I think it will do just fine for our application. Now I would suggest doing this more than using those caps that you twist, because those would definitely come off with the vibration, and if these things go together, you're gonna fry everything, and possibly you're gonna fry whatever you have plugged into your generator. Let me see here. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it with some electrical tape. The most important thing is that when you wrap them together, that they're very tight. Electricity needs a firm connection to flow through. So if they're loose, what's going to happen is it's going to cause resistance. They're going to get hot, and that's when the cable, the wire, is going to melt. So that one looks okay. I'm actually happy with that. Feels good to me. And next we're going to do the other side. Alright, that looks good. So one thing that I'm gonna do here, just to be a little bit extra safe, I peeled some of this insulation here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut some of it, and I'm gonna use it to insulate one of the sides from the other. It's a little bit overkill because we did do a good job with our tape, but that will guarantee that no electricity goes to the wrong side. And here, I'm gonna split them like this so I don't confuse them after I'm done. So make sure you get this part right. Make sure you do not mix the wires now, because it will be very easy to do so. There we go, that should be enough. And one thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tape these two together about here, just so I don't make a mistake. Maybe do this before you put the other last bit of tape on there. So now I'm gonna bring the board back, and before I put everything back together, I'm gonna go ahead and start the generator with everything plugged in, and we're gonna check how it works. Alright guys, it's the moment of truth. I'm gonna pull the choke, put the generator on. Everything is plugged in, as you can see. And remember, it doesn't matter that they're together like that because they're connected up here anyway, so don't worry about that. Each one of those is for each one of the legs on the plug. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the generator. So there we go. We have our generator running and making power. Well, that's what the light says, right? So now, when I plug this into the outlets, we should have power. There you go. We have power, guys. We made it. Everything seems to be running well. Now, we have the wiring done and everything seems to be working properly. The last thing to do is we're gonna pull this panel off, and I'm gonna show you how you're gonna fit this inverter board into this generator. It's not supposed to go in there, but we'll make it work. Okay everyone, I removed the control panel out of the way, and let me show you what you have to do next. You're gonna see this bar down here. Looks like a long U, and you're gonna pull the screw from one side, and it's gonna have that ground connector. So once you pull the screw out, you want to put it back in with that ground wire. Make sure it's tight, not crazy tight, but make sure it's tight on there. And then you're gonna pull this other one, and you're gonna get rid of this piece. All right, you can save the screw in case you have lost one. I certainly have lost more than one. And what we're gonna do next is, you see this bracket up here? We're gonna need that. So what you wanna do is you wanna pull that bracket. So just remember guys that this hole does not work. I have to drill a new hole just a couple inches to the right of that hole right there. So that's what I'm gonna do real quick. Okay guys, make sure that when you're drilling that you're pointing down slightly, because you don't wanna drill into your tank or into that valve back there. So I just did that hole right there. Okay guys, in order to switch this bracket from here to here, you want to put it in this position, okay? And then you want to slide it on the back like so, and use your screw and your new hole about 2 inches to the right of this hole. You want to use your long screw right here and insert it that way. So I'll show you when I put that in there, because it'll be hard doing it with one hand. Okay everyone, as you can see, I have already install that bracket in its new spot. And make sure that when you're drilling that hole, make sure that your fuel valve still has enough room to fit in there, okay? Make sure that it's not on the way for your fuel valve. You really don't want to have to do that hole again. So next I'm gonna slide the inverter board behind it, and I'm gonna align it and insert my tiny screw like so. Okay everyone, and just like that, we have bolted our inverter board from Champion to our Kipor generator. And it is not perfect, you know, it looks a little bit, you know, sketchy, I would say, here and there. One thing you can do is, if you have the ability to, if you can make a piece of wood where this board can sit onto, that'll be a little bit better. That way you can have it sitting level, but that does not matter. It's not absolutely necessary that you do that. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this back on there, put our fuel valve back, and finish this generator. Okay everyone, so I put the generator back together, and I'm not gonna act like I did everything perfectly because there was one little problem. When I put everything back together and I went to start it, it wouldn't fire at all. I don't know why, but it just wouldn't work. So I had to pull the cover off, and I partially took the panel off, and then I found out that the plug, there's a plug behind this output indicator here. It actually popped out, and that's a very important part of the generator because this piece right here is what controls the engine shutdown when it detects low oil. So now this is for the first time. After I put it back together for the second time, this is the first time I'm gonna try and start it. So on, choke on, I'm gonna pull the cord and see what happens. There we go, guys. It started a little shaky because I pulled it 1,000 times and I kind of flooded it, I think. But there you go. I don't have the latch for the door, but I will see if I can find one online. But other than that, it just needs to be cleaned up. But it's a generator again. We have our output. And if you have a listen, it throttles up really smooth. It throttles down, no problem. It does not smoke. And most importantly, it now has an output. So I hope this video was useful for you guys. This is totally an experiment. I believe that I'm the only one on YouTube that has successfully put a Champion inverter board in place of a Kipor inverter board. When I first did this, it took me a long time of sitting right there playing with the wires while the generator was running. It was very, very time consuming, but I couldn't afford to plug something in incorrectly because it only takes one time for you to plug something incorrectly and blow the board or blow the generator, and after that there's no more money to be made. I made this video so that it's easy for you guys. It honestly took me about 2 hours of sitting from start to finish, so it shouldn't take you any longer than that. I hope you had fun watching this video. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It really helps. Thank you for watching Immortal Engines. I'll see you on the next one.